What's up, everybody? This is Taylor Gray, and welcome to COVID Community podcast that we're hosting. Myself and my illustrious co-host Armand Wake Up. We're hosting this podcast just to visit with a number of different topics during an interesting time for our culture and our society. So I'm saying hello, Armand. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. I'm good. How are you?
See, you're doing the easy, I'm good. So whenever somebody asks me that, I have to think about my last 3 days. I am actually rested, and I have
Good.
a little bit more clarity than I did last week. So
Good
comes with some detail, but yeah, man.
Yeah, we talked about that like a week and a half ago that you said you was going to shut down the studio.
Yeah, I did, and it took me a long time to actually shut it down. I say like a few days to actually feel like I was resting, but I got there. We're good.
Word.
Good.
That's what's up.
We got a guest, but before we get to the guest, I just want to let everyone know that COVID Community is powered by the sneaker of the day. That is an unofficial thing before now, but since we're doing a social distancing version of today's episode, I'm going to let you guys know that we are still rocking our sneakers. So I have a New Balance here today. It's funny because I'm actually wearing Tim's, but this is the sneaker of the day for me. This is an underrated pair of New Balances that they take a lot of different forms. But today the weather is nice, and I would have liked to wear these to a social outing or something like that. These New Balances are not necessarily a rare pair. They're just a 997H. I found them on a website. Browsing Instagram, they marketed them to me, and it was like bait for a fish, and I went and gobbled them up. So these are my sneaker of the day. Armand, what you got?
The algorithms actually worked for you. They worked in your favor that time.
They did. They reeled me in. Yeah.
Yeah, normally they don't. I'll go some light, actually.
Look at him.
Because I've been in my – I know, it's such a whack flex, I know. Because I've been on, like, my basketball heavy. I'm going with the air more up tempos. I've been watching, actually right before we started recording, found some Dream Team games on YouTube. So I just watched them blow out Angola like 120-38 or something like that.
Bro, I watched the first half of that, and I was like, this is like an NBA team versus a YMCA team.
Yes. The PAL League. Remember the PAL League? The Police Athletic League? They were always terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry to anybody who played in the PAL League, but if we stepped on and you played on the PAL League, like, we knew we were getting a dub, an easy one.
Yes. We have a guest, man. We have a guest that we're honored to have with us today. Again, this is the social distancing episode, but it works in our favor because we're actually able to get this young man to join us via technology. And I'll introduce him as my brother, but artist extraordinaire. I mean, he's kind of been in the tuck for a little while, but trust me, the unveiling is coming. Christon Gray is with us today. What's up, dog?
What's going on, fellas?
How you feeling, man? How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Been a lot of work. Nothing's changed for me since the quarantine. If anything, it's gotten busier. So just to be able to take a break and talk to you guys is fun. Just listen to you guys go back and forth about sneakers and whatever else you're going to talk about. I'm just glad to be in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? So Thanks for having me. Good to do something healthy during the crisis, right? It's still a crisis. And, you know, honestly, I've been able to see this since the inception when it was just an idea. So kudos to you guys for just trudging through, actually creating some content that's relevant and, you know, healthy for other people watching, but then also even for yourselves, because in a good way, y'all are taking this seriously, and that's dope.
Yeah. For sure. We trying, bro. We trying.
Yeah.
We try to, I'll say for me, I just try to ask like an initial question to just kind of throw us off a little bit, or maybe just give us an opportunity to relax. So I assume, I know Armand is, but I haven't talked to you about this yet. Have you been watching the Last Dance documentary, the Bulls?
I started it. I got through the first episode, but with a newborn, the sleep schedule is a little unpredictable. So I zonked out in the middle of Scottie Pippen talking about his family. I think that was still the first episode, but I couldn't tell. It got to a point where I was like, are these two? Or these back-to-back two? Yeah. So I got some catching up to do. I'm a little salty that I didn't finish it because and I haven't reeled back to see if I can catch the footage that I lost. So I got to catch up. I know the next one or two is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's crazy though. It's amazing what I did catch. I can't believe it's been, that long, 22 years since they've been holding that footage. And just again, Armand talked about flex earlier, just the flexing power of Michael Jordan to decide when this is going to be released. Yep. It's kind of something I feel bad about missing a little bit of, but it is what every man let God be true and every man be a liar, including Michael Jordan. I had to get that sleep, yo.
That's real, for real. But he was actually looking godlike in that first episode. It was just like remembering how everybody was in awe of him. Like he was moving through rooms and people was just like submitting to him and the reporters. But if you fell asleep on that part, bro, man, I think I was just like having a moment to myself. I was probably laughing too much just looking at Billy Pippen. You know what I'm saying? Like
Billy Pippen, yeah. Like I think that's about the part where I started to fade. Like I came in and out. I saw some stuff. I honestly, the backstory of Scottie Pippen caught me off guard. So I was like, well, we're really going here. And it was like a new thing that I had to invest in. And I was already fading. So I got to pick up from that spot though, keep it moving.
Like a brown skin version of Scottie Pippen. Like it was too much for me, bro. Like it was like happening right there. And I was just like, and Billy Pippen's name just flashed on the screen and I just started laughing. Like, what is
this man has a real background too, man. He's underrated in the highest sense. Scottie Pippen, man. Like I mean, that's where I'm at. So I take it you guys are all the way caught up and ready for tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we really caught up.
Good.
And we'll talk about why we laugh like that offline. But yeah, like it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's great. I've never done it.
What you think about so far, Armand?
Oh, bruh, this is my childhood, man. So this is like anytime we can get into nostalgia, like, WGN on Saturday nights, my mom and I will watch the Bulls games.
WG.
Particularly from that season and the season before. The black jerseys with the pinstripes. My mind immediately goes to fashion. So I'm looking at the sneakers. I remember the Pippins, the Rodmans, of course the 13s at the time, what he was wearing. So even like their practice gear was fire.
Yeah.
So again,
I had to go watch Space Jam.
Yeah, bruh.
I went and watched the whole movie.
Yeah, bruh. Like it's beautiful. And then to like put your kids on that stuff. Has Maya seen Space Jam prior to that?
Nope, but she watched it with me.
Bruh, that's the best thing. Yeah, that's the best thing.
I was introducing her to Looney Tunes. I mean, she didn't even know what that was.
That's the best thing, yo. Just that stuff that's like just passes through generational, and it's like still funny, and you're catching stuff that you didn't catch as a kid. That as an adult, they snuck that little humor in, and it's hilarious.
Yep, exactly.
But amazing, man. Like I'm here for it. I need all of it. 10 hours. I thought 10 hours was gonna be too much, and now I'm like, bro, there's only 8 hours left. Like there's so much to discuss. So I'm here for it.
I love it, man. I love it. It's so much nostalgia, obviously, but then the relevant. I guess how relevant it is for now and the way that teams and players think now is just super dope. So, what we're going to talk about today is interesting, man, because what we're using right now kind of informs our topic of discussion today. We're going to talk about technology and the use of technology during this whole quarantine era that we're in right now. Society is not just changing, it has changed. It's like we're past the point where it's like, man, I can't wait to get back to normal. Nah, like we're not getting back to anything. Like we're in a new thing now. So I think people are just kind of adjusting to that. I know for me, it took me a while to just accept that. Like I was fighting it for a while. But you know, this is where we are. This is where we are. So I wanted to ask, like, since I have you know, some artists on with me, just kind of just from a artist standpoint, how has artist engagement changed from what you have seen? Like, it can be something good, it could be something that was probably not the best, or just in general. Like, do you feel like the way artists and fans have engaged with each other has changed?
I think on the major scale it has. I think on the indie scale it has not. I think indie artists always have to like be ahead of the curve and utilizing apps and different resources because we have little to no budget. So we got to figure out, okay, where the people are, and we're going to the people. Whereas, you know, people who are on major labels or have major notoriety, you know, I think the Versus series just kind of shows that like they're coming to where we are. Like they really have to utilize, you know, social media and just engagement period to really benefit off of it, because they could just chill and not do anything and be fine. But the people who are like trying to, you know, use this opportunity or see what Swiss and Tim are doing, things like that are being prioritized right now. So I would say that's the biggest thing.
You mentioned the Versus series. Chris, have you watched any of that? Like the Babyface versus Teddy Riley?
Yeah, I was on the chat on the first night where they attempted it, and it was a little difficult to watch that falling apart because, I mean, say what you will, I mean, I know Teddy Riley, for whatever reason, has almost turned into a bit of a punchline during this time because of that, but you can't turn Teddy Riley into a punchline. That's the only problem, is like,
He's a GOAT.
You know, but we are in the era where, you know, people are discovering legends
right
because of the internet, and they're discovering them for their most recent headline as opposed to who they really are. Right. We're in an era where you guys remember it was a few years back, there was that kid who was questioning why Kanye West would feature Paul McCartney. Who's this clown on my song? It's like, do you realize what you're talking about? You know what I mean? Like, we're in that era. So there are people who may see a meme of Teddy Riley struggling to get his situation together and I'm just like, I just didn't want to be in the middle of that too long. I got tempted to get sucked into the madness of it. It was a little strange to watch. That being said, I also watched when it actually came together, and everybody was silent. All you saw was, you know, fire emojis and, you know, people in their fields leaving comments, or, you know, my wife and I, we just sat back and just vibed. We didn't say a word because, you know, again, we're in the presence of royalty, you know, even though the experience is being made more tangible from a mainstream outlet. I was just watching a BET special a couple nights ago where they're trying to raise money for, you know, basically those who have suffered in the African-American community because of the virus. And so they did an entire hour-long special where everybody was social distancing. And, I mean, it was star-studded. I mean, everybody from Kevin Hart to Halle Berry to Don Cheadle to, you know, multiple artists, right, are on there, all from in the comfort of their own home creating content. And as tangible as that felt, it still was like, yeah, but you can't just hit these cats up in their DMs and they respond. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a FaceTime call. It might feel like one,
right,
but it's not. And for that reason, I was like, the playing field's even, but I don't quite know if, to answer your question, how it's affected the engagement, other than it's lifted the perception level probably even a bit higher and made people feel like, oh, now all of us are in this together. It's like, we are, but we aren't. You know what I'm saying? We still are. So just a little bit more hope to get snatched away from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, bro, because like watching the battle, like the Teddy Riley, like I did laugh at the memes, but at the same time,
Sure. It was funny.
It humanized him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it made us realize that he is a person. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't change anything when they got it together for me. It was just like, but you're still Teddy Riley.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do anything else to prove yourself ever again. Like, all you have to do is just press play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sit back in the world. That was the only thing preventing us from connecting to him, was his ability to press play. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as he was able to press play, it was done. You know what I'm saying? And then Babyface, Babyface is like one of those slept on geniuses, in my opinion. Like, people mention other people, I guess, in the categories of genius and all different stuff, and pay homage to their contributions to history. But Babyface, what's so dope to me about him is just how relaxed he was the whole time. Like, he didn't feel like it was just like, even when Teddy Riley was jacking up, he was just like, oh, Teddy, are you there? Okay. I think
He's being petty.
we've lost Teddy, but it wasn't like he was panicking at all. It's just, and then before you know it, 2 days later it was rescheduled, and he's back and he's taking care of Teddy. Like, make sure we need to get some more sound, and I'm gonna play this one here because you did that, and it was just so dope to see him just like chill in his mode and yet still be Babyface. So for me, it was like humanizing them even more. Like, the technical difficulties didn't change who they were. It just made me be able to connect to them as people. But you're right, they would never answer my DM.
I think Babyface retained his prowess the whole way through. But I mean, Babyface is a Midwestern, you know what I mean? So he's from Indiana and Cincinnati. So the whole connection between him and LA Reid, like, that was all created in Cincy. And the only reason I'm saying that is because you know how it is for us in Ohio, or just as a Midwestern state. It's like, even if we're excited about something, we kind of proceed with caution. So we're not apt to try to create an entire production stage to do something. We're probably going to start here, see if we can get this down, and then move on to the next thing. So I don't think he had that technology barrier. So it allowed Babyface to still look untouchable on his IG Live. You know what I mean? Like, subtle nod right behind him, like there's like awards just on the shelf, but just that might just happen to be the room that he sat down in. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I just thought it was cool, because at the end of the day, to your point, both of those guys have to do is press play. And I think that's what people came for. And I mean, shout out to Swiss Beats and Timberland. I mean, it's just an extension of what they've been already doing in their personal expression, as far as just, pouring into the next lineage of artists, instead of trying to use this as a moment to flex. Like, they're like, let's put somebody else on who's even above us. But once you get to Babyface level, like, who are you going to put above Babyface? You're not going to put anybody above Babyface or Teddy Riley.
Yeah.
Both of those guys have enough content they could run this every week, same time, same channel, arguably for the next 6 months, and still we wouldn't have touched, 80% of their catalog.
Yep.
I thought that was powerful.
Teddy ain't even play My Prerogative. Like,
yeah,
they left a lot on the table.
Yeah, I think I stopped watching. I stopped paying attention to what was going on and treated it much like an Alexa playlist or something once Babyface turned on Whip Appeal. I felt like I was just allowing music to just play in my house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it was no longer a battle. It was just like, this is phenomenal.
Yep. Yep. And I think, to your point, it's like, where do we go from here with that? Because, on one hand, the rumor is that the next one is Dre and Puff, right? But, last night they had Jermaine Dupri and Dallas Austin. And Dallas Austin is playing some of his records. And so not only is it like the TLC and a lot of the LaFace stuff, but it's like he did stuff with No Doubt. He did stuff with Pink, like stuff way out of that realm. Yeah. And it's like, this will be a great candidate for this platform But like once you've hit Babyface and Teddy, Puff and Dre, like can you go quote unquote back down? And there's so many other producers and songwriters like in this realm that will make for interesting mashups. Like have they kind of shot themselves in the foot trying to go higher and higher and higher as instead of maybe expanding and like, you know, getting as many people involved as you know, as possible, because we're going to be here and the audience is going to be here for the time being. So they really could stretch this out because they talking about doing Dre and Puff on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that's too far, bro. Like for me personally, I'm because I was going to ask you guys, would you pay to?
Absolutely,
I would.
Pay Babyface and Teddy Riley like that.
I guess a better question is would you pay if the production quality was better, or would you pay for that? Like what we've seen?
I would have paid for. I felt like I got something for free that I wasn't supposed to get. Honestly,
yeah.
Even the experience. When's the last time you've been in Babyface's home or studio, or you know you were, even though it was cropped to an aspect ratio, that's exactly where you were, listening to him play what he once played.
Yeah,
you were in the mind.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And like, when's the last time you got a chance to watch Teddy Riley do the same thing? Like it was like, yo, I get it. Like it wasn't, you know, pay-per-view quality, or we weren't in a building together, but that was probably another one of the reasons why I didn't really want to watch it when it wasn't going well, because I felt like it wasn't fair, you know what I mean, to anybody to like call this the experience. It's like, clearly this was a botch. They're going to do it again, and when they do it again, it's still worth my time and money. I just got it for free. Did you guys see Travis Scott's his venture that he's doing with Fortnite?
Yes,
I heard about it. I saw clips, but I didn't see it.
It's genius to me. I mean, it's a completely different demographic, but it's just another way. This is the technology conversation. Like, you know, one of my questions was going to be what forms of technology are people engaging with on a broader level that maybe they would not have if not for this COVID quarantine situation. And that kind of an idea, I mean, Fortnite, I don't even know what to compare Fortnite to as a platform of accessibility and media and connectivity for all kinds of people. But to be able to connect with that as an audience is several stadiums. You know what I'm saying? Like it's on another level of capitalizing on an opportunity. So I thought it was dope from what I read. So I mean, so are you guys? Let me ask y'all this: are y'all gonna watch Hezekiah Walker versus John P. Key?
I would.
You would, or you will?
I would. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not, you know, coincidentally for me, most of my, even though I feel like I have a lot to contribute to the technology discussion, most of how it's being displayed for me is on the back end, you know what I mean? Content creation, and I'm not in a rush to jump on the social space unless I hear something's going on. So I honestly had no idea that was happening until just now. When is that? Is it on a Sunday?
Tomorrow.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
7?
He said 7 o'clock. Yeah.
7 o'clock. I mean, hey, look, man, you got to get in where you fit in. You know what I mean? A lot of people are going to catch up to this stuff after the fact. And I think a lot of people are going to keep it going once we do return to whatever normal is going to look like. I think if you're smart, you do use this as an opportunity to catch up to the internet. That's really all it is. Catch up to the internet. Internet's not new. You know what I mean? Like, choose your weapon, rock with what works for you. You're going to have some fails, no matter how big you are, right? You're going to have to figure out what to do next, even if you're small, even if you're indie, even if you're mainstream, everybody's figuring it out. You know what I mean? Like, even what Travis Scott is doing with Fortnite, you could argue that it's a revolutionary idea if it would have been put out when it wasn't necessary. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But, like, there's a little bit of it. It's like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, like, he just got there first. You know what I mean? And that's just as quickly as endorsements. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if he came up with it. It very well seems like something in the wheelhouse of his brand. but it fits both audiences. I'll tell you that. This is not a new venture for Travis Scott. I mean, you're talking about the guy who created an entire theme park for himself and for his children. You know what I'm saying? Like this is definitely par for the course for him. You know, I'm just glad to see that, you know, some gospel artists are trying something. You know what I mean? Like I want to sit down and watch Hezekiah. We grew up on that too. You know what I mean? So like, let's go. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, I was laughing earlier at Armand was like was on pause, and I didn't know if his phone was glitching or if he was just not trying to answer the question. I know your answer already just with that glitch, but it is. But that's the thing is, this could go into a lot of specialized categories. You know, gospel is a specialized category for a lot of different people, and you know,
Christian music in general is, you know, that Christian music industry is very late to get to the internet, much like the country music industry is. You know what I mean? Like those are two at the same time genres that have taken their time because they can, you know what I mean, to catch up to the internet because their demographic base was not relying on it. And we see that a lot with how churches are still trying to figure out how to work through the internet space, right? And you see that even when I mentioned the country, because I just didn't want to make it only the Christian music industry, like country's going through this too, where they didn't have to be on social media, right? They didn't have to do digital tours. But as you see now, like I think it wasn't Tim McGraw. It was I can't remember who it was, but he had a backyard sort of concert, you know, from his IG live. I just can't remember who it was. I'll get it probably in a sec. And it wasn't highly produced, and it wasn't followed up with the, you know, Grand Opry Theater digital tour. It was just, that's it, guys. I'm in to check in and check out. We're going to see that from a lot of these, you know, subcategories that are ginormous, like the Christian music industry or the country music industry, but they too have to figure out a way to catch up.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this leads me to kind of a question about how the church is doing. Are you I mean, you know, we're all followers of Christ, and maybe we just have different perceptions of what this all looks like. How have you guys seen the church do good things during this time? Like as far as using technology, like how have you seen the church make good uses of technology? Is there anything that has inspired you or anything that was kind of a particular vein of creativity that looked like it was ahead of the curve? Or are there some ideas that you feel like are being left on the table right now?
I think that Zoom has been like a catalyst for a lot. So I'm seeing a lot of like small groups and a lot of emphasis on small groups in this format, you know, a lot, and with the emphasis of like, you know, the foundations of the church. So, you know, getting into the word, praying together, like just the simple stuff that we're supposed to do, that sometimes when we start thinking about church and building and evangelizing, like we kind of get away from those things. You know, I recently saw a church post on Instagram that they were going to be providing free meals for the community they were in. Food trucks were out. And I guess, you know, when you were going to go pick up your meal, they almost had it carnival-esque. So they had music playing. There were people there that were like waving at you and, you know, telling you where to go. And, you know, for some people to even roll down their window while they're driving is just like little small things that we, you know, absolutely took for granted, that are like, you know, breaths of fresh air, no pun intended. Those have been the two biggest things I've seen. I'm sure there's others. I just haven't been as privy to that space.
You were one of the first people, Armand, who kind of came out and said when everything got shut down that, you know, churches being reduced to those simple things was beautiful.
Yes, absolutely.
Remember you saying, so this is kind of consistent with your original thoughts, and you feel like there's good things happening for the majority of spaces.
Yeah, no smoking lights, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like no extra pomp and circumstance. Like let's just get the foundation right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now we're having to turn to the foundation. So, once the foundation is straight, then you can start adding stuff to the house. But like I need to make sure that my house ain't leaning over. You know what I'm saying? If my house is straight, then I can build it and decorate it the way that I want it to be decorated. But there's an emphasis on the foundation right now, which I appreciate. And I think for a lot of people, it's also like really convicting and challenging because it's like, oh my God, I was so concerned with the decorations that like my foundation ain't as tight as I thought it was. I need to get that together.
Yeah, Chris, you are a worship director, leader. I'm not sure it's the exact title that you function under, but a lot of people interact with you just kind of like as an artist, as a national recording artist. But what are some things that you've seen or you've had to be creative in your approach to as a leader in regards to technology and being creative with your presentation?
I think I first of all want to say that I agree with what Armand just laid out, as far as the foundation, and even the piece about decorations and stuff like that. And those examples I thought were really solid. I would agree. I've seen that sort of thing. And it just makes me happy to see that whether people are forced to or not, that we're getting back to the basics. It's something that I think churches have tried to do and have been compelled to do. But it's a little bit difficult when you still have access to all of the extra elements. It literally has to be taken away from you sometimes to see what you're really made of. As we've made a transition into this particular era, if you'll call it, because we don't really know how long it'll last, I found my passion for the local church being able to be put in more of a leadership role because of understanding about technology. And there was a TED talk that Billy Graham did, and I believe in 1998, where he predicted this. He talked a lot about technology and where it was going to go and the opportunity it was going to present to us as Christians. And I think for so long we have, again, trying to play catch up. We've used the excuse that it's not supposed to be our primary, right? That meeting together in person is supposed to be our primary. And I think as much as I agree with that, I also realize that if you're going to have a global reach to spread the good news, you have to understand that some people, you're just never going to see them in person. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to have the opportunity to drive by them and roll a window down. You're never going to be able to shake their hand, give them a hug. Sometimes it just won't happen. But if we can maximize what we have available to us, then we can create something that's very clear, very precise, very effective, and very consistent. And so that has been the conversation that I've been having with a lot of mid to smaller size churches. The church that I lead is about a 2,000 member church in-house, but the reach, because they have done a very good job of preparing for the online space, averages about 10,000, sometimes a little less, a little more online. And I'm not talking about they use like a metric device for some of the larger churches that allow you to kind of like approximate who may be watching, and the numbers aren't really sincere. But the engagement rate has gone up, which is back to your original question. And I think that that's been very helpful because there have been some people who, have been watching the programming and they want to know how to give their life to the Lord, and they want to have prayer or they want to get baptized, and there's somebody right there to talk them through it. And I'm just like, man, like it'd be great for us to maximize this so much. So like if somebody was driving in their car, having an anxiety attack or facing some level of temptation, instead of going online and searching a local small group, they could just get on an app and just talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that my passion resonates for us utilizing the technology that we have available to us so much. Even from a personal note, as a recovering addict, like I'm very aware of the power of like a meeting, right? What we call meetings. So like they had like AA meetings, right, for alcoholics, or for me, it would be SA meetings. The fact that I could call in, or the fact that I could go online and get access to that stuff immediately, it was like a lifeline. And I think the church has almost looked at that as a supplementary thing. It's like, yo, come to service. But this has turned it into like, we are always service. Like this can become more of a collaborative effort where it's not like your church, my church is the church, and it's coming together, gluing itself together via technology. And that way, again, when we get back to the normalcy, whatever that's going to look like, we now have a new template and a new foundation to decorate or not decorate. That's the best way I could probably put that.
True.
We're at the end of our podcast, y'all, and that was dope. A great way to end that. As much as I've been kicking and screaming with Zoom, I've learned a ton, and I think these brothers have helped me in different ways. So I appreciate you guys' perspective, appreciate your time. Hopefully we can see more examples of just ways to be encouraged in the ways that we are using technology to benefit society and also to glorify God. So with that, hope y'all have a great day. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.